Sai, welcome to the channel, man. I'm super excited for this to chat to you. We've just been chatting before the cameras started rolling, and we chatted about a load of good stuff that we're gonna repeat again now. But yeah, massively appreciate you coming on, man. And do you want to just give us a quick intro into yourself, like your background, and then how you got into joining the community and also getting into e-commerce in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, we were just chatting about it. I think it was, we're coming up to nearly a year ago when I first contacted yourself. I think I'd seen an ad, I think it was on Instagram or whatever. And it was actually a funny coincidence because my wife had a lift back from a business trip in a taxi. And this guy, the taxi driver, was saying, I don't really do this sort of my normal job. He said, I'm actually doing this. I'm doing this Amazon FBA thing. And she came and told me, she said, oh, he's doing this. And I said, oh, I've heard of that. And then funnily enough, the next day I was just scrolling through, I'm sure it was Instagram or whatever it was. And I saw your good self. And I went to her, I said, oh, look, this is it. And he said, these guys are doing courses. So at that point, I was just exiting a business. I had a business and it was reasonably successful. I wasn't really enjoying it. It wasn't really my thing. But it allowed me the flexibility, if you like, to be able to pursue something else. And you know, I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not ready to retire yet. And I thought, I'd for the first time ever in my career, and I'll tell you a little bit what I've done in the past, I wanted to actually do something which I thought was interesting. And I always felt as though I had a bit of a creative side, which I never really exercised in my previous careers. They're always quite straight-laced, quite serious jobs, you know, running businesses. I originally, well, many moons ago, I was in the military. Then I came out of that and I got into security sales and defense type sales, aviation. And then I finished off in electronic security, running businesses that install integrated electronic security systems. In fact, I'm going to sleep now, just even saying it. And that was okay. And, you know, I saw the world with it and it was challenging. You know, running any business you run, no matter where it is a challenge, but it never really satisfied me from a creative point of view. And in between, my wife coming back saying, hey, I've just spoken to this taxi driver and he's doing this Amazon thing, going online, looking at it, doing a bit of research, and then booking the call with yourself and doing a little bit of research on you guys, obviously, who you are, what you was doing, what the course entailed, and what the opportunity was. I looked at it and I thought, you know what, this is something. So basically, I can take a product, find a product, create a product, tweak a product, put my name on it, put my, you know, personality on it, whatever, sell it on Amazon, the world's biggest shop, and make some money out of it. And I thought, this is too good to be true. Subsequently, spoke to yourself, booked the call, you took me through it to, I think, test if I was maybe suitable as well. Liked what I saw with you guys, like the fact that you was doing it, living and breathing it, and you was actually doing what I was going to be doing, as well as just, you know, running the course. And the rest is history. Signed up immediately and bang, straight into it. And that's what I pretty much, well, it is what I've been doing full time since I started the course way back early last year.
Amazing. So you've got one product live now at the minute, right? Would you be able to quickly just kind of like show your results? Because everybody wants to see like kind of like where you're at. And we were just saying before we started recording, right? Your launch has gone way better than you like forecast it to go, right?
Way better than I thought you guys were able to help me with, mate, to be honest. No, it is. We was chatting about it, weren't we? I mean, before I launched, you know, you do your little planner, and I like planning things. And I thought, right, okay, I reckon I'm going to sell, my first month, I thought I'd sell 25 units. And then the next month, just gone, because this actually marks today is actually my beginning of my third month. So I've done 2 months since launch. I thought I'd do today 65 units. I've actually sold nearly 480 units.
Nice.
I thought I would have made, with my PPC, etc., I thought I would have made a £500 loss. The last 30 days, I've
just
sold
under 11K.
near 11K. And to date, since launch, I was just checking on Scale Insights earlier. Pure profit net, I'm netted about £5,600.
That's pretty
Yeah.
damn good for a first product, isn't it?
It's, well, you saw what my forecast was. It's way better. Now, obviously, as I forecasted, I thought, right, okay, I think I got to about month 5 or 6, I think, on my forecaster before I was really starting to turn a profit. I'm doing that after 2 months. So yeah, I'm super stoked, super happy. So yeah, it's going really well. In fact, it's going so well, I've had to turn my PPC off. As I asked you guys the other day, I said, I think I'm going to run out of stock. Turn my PPC off. Organically, I'm doing really well, which is, so I'm still selling, but it has reduced a little bit, but I'm hoping I can ride it out now so I can stay in stock until I get my second order in.
Amazing, man. I mean, look, as we were saying before, right? When we chatted on the call, what I loved was I was showing you all of these brands on the call when you joined the community or before you joined the community, and I was showing you these brands, and I could just see how like it clicked with you. And we were talking about like Dude Wipes. There was a couple of other brands that I showed you on the call because I could just see you had that creative side, and I was like, oh man, I hope he joins because I just knew you were going to join and you were going to just crush it and just like follow what we did, because we never try and oversell things. Like that's why we try and set the expectation that like it's a real business. It takes a bit of time to get it up and running. You might be losing a bit of money in the beginning and everything that you said. So we would rather kind of like under promise, but like you've just come in and followed it to a T. And if you think about it now, you've essentially got a business that's probably going to do at least 100,000 in revenue in its first 12 months. 50,000-60,000 in profit across
I didn't
the 12
think of it
months.
like that. Yeah.
And that's one product. And now the thing is you've got that skill set now that we can help you scale it. And if you know how to do it with one product, honestly, you can do it with 5 or 6, and then the numbers just keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Which is what I'm doing now. I was quite a way in, wasn't I, before I actually went firm on the product. And I think I got to that stage, looking back with hindsight, I got into the old, paralysis by analysis. I was overthinking it too much in the end. And I think it was yourself and Tom one day just nudged me and said, listen, just go for something, just do it. And so the particular product at the moment, which is an outdoor sports product, was trending. And I was using one of the tools that you guys suggested. And I was looking at the States on the basis that I think it seems to be that majority of products or a majority of trends come from the States, and they will end up eventually in the UK, which is where I'm obviously selling this product. And I looked at it and I did my own research as well, and just online, just looking at it, you could see that this particular sport was starting to take off. And would it be a product I would launch now? Maybe not, because I think I've seen where I want to take it, and that's more on the subscription and the consumable side, etc. But to get the experience, and you're right, I think a product is a product, and the process and the principles behind it is the same for everything. You've got to learn the craft, if you like, because you look at it, Amazon's a very simple formula, isn't it? You do something and you put it online and you sell it, but there's a lot of mechanics and moving parts inside it. And I think that's what I did. I focused on the moving parts, looked at it and thought, well, okay, I can apply it to this, but really I can apply it to anything. So yeah, I chose that one product because I wanted to choose something and get going. Everybody wants to launch, and in our community you can see people launching, and you get launch envy, and I'm gonna be launching as well. And but happy where I am with this. I will continue the brand because I think it's got legs. I think it's in a growing market. I think I've demonstrated that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be my focus. My focus is going to be on some of the other stuff that we've been learning in the community as well about the D2C and through the Halo system and products that will suit that.
Yeah. So I was literally just looking at your product just before, and I think you've got Amazon's choice for one of the top keywords, because I searched like the main keyword and you popped up at the top, and I was like, nice. You got
I've had a few times actually.
Yeah. But the one thing that I was thinking actually is like, I don't know if you do have the scope to move into something that is subscription based within that. And we don't have to go into it now, but I'm going to have a look after, because there might be some ways that you can use the existing brand perhaps to launch something that is perhaps consumable, or do you know what I mean?
Possibly. I mean, in the early days, and you mentioned before, we discussed it earlier. Remember, I had this idea about, like a men's brand, and particularly around older men, being an older man, and sort of reaching out or empathizing with your customer, know your customer because you're the customer, kind of thing. And so I'm always looking for that. But at the same time, in fact, one of the products I'm definitely launching at the moment, you actually gave it away. You actually gave it away as a little bit of a, I think one of our product masterclasses, product research.
Right. Yeah.
And you sort of said, all right, I'll throw that out. You can have that. And I grabbed it and ran off. And I actually found the manufacturer by pure chance. And so myself and another my partner who I've doubled up with in the community, we're doing that. So we're going to launch that one pretty soon. And there's a couple of others in the pipeline as well. So these are completely different brands to the one I've got now, which is the sports brand. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think there is opportunity there, but at the moment I'm focusing on getting the other brands up and running.
And one of the things that I've been like crazy impressed with you is, I mean, the way that you've come in and you've just been like a sponge, like you've just absorbed everything. You've been super positive with it all, but you've also been making TikTok content, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that, because honestly, I was, and I don't mean this in a patronizing way, I was blown away because, I mean, look, even I'm a little bit younger than you, not that much, right? But
I'm older to be your father, Alex. That's all I'm going to say, mate. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say our generation, right, didn't grow up. Honestly, mine as well. Like we didn't grow up making videos, phones, all of that. But you've taken to this like a duck to water, right? So tell me a little bit about that, because I'm super impressed with how you've done this.
To be honest, I surprised myself. I mean, it's way, I'm a little bit extrovert, I think, but things like public speaking, particularly when in my past life, professionally, did I like doing presentations or whatever? No, I didn't. So public speaking, as I thought it was, and that's how I sort of looked at it, wasn't really my thing, and I was a little bit out of my comfort zone. And you guys obviously launched the Honest Creators side, and I had a little bit of fear of missing out. I saw it and I thought, everybody's, and it was obvious where it was one of the ways that e-commerce was going. You couldn't ignore TikTok Shop. And eventually I was thinking, well, some of these products that I want to launch, I've got to get them on TikTok. But the best way to understand it is to do it yourself. And so I signed up as an affiliate, got my followers and whatever. And I was surprised myself. I just found it really, really easy. And I don't know why. It just, and I actually enjoyed doing it. I think I enjoyed doing it too much, because a lot of the stuff I was doing it for my own benefit and enjoyment. I'm sure some of the people's stuff I was selling them going, no, that ain't the point of it. But I was, but I had a bit of success with it, really. But as I say, it gave me an understanding of content creation and how important now the content creation side is, and that basically anybody can do it. I mean, really, anybody can do it. You don't need to, give it to these big agencies initially, et cetera, et cetera. Just do it yourself. And a lot of the skills which I've picked up through Canva and, the static content and just everything that you need in that sort of holistic, sort of toolbox. I've just sat and learnt it, gone on YouTube, looked at videos and looked at it that way and picked it up as I've gone along. Yeah.
It's honestly like I was so excited. I was watching it and I was like, I can't believe like how well you've done it. And again, I'm not being patronizing with that, but as somebody that makes content, like we make it, for Honest FBA, right, to promote it. It's not easy. Like it really isn't. And like I was watching your video and I showed it to my missus and I was like, look, this is Sai from the community. Can you because not just because you were making the content, but like it was just so good. The way that you were doing the hooks and the way you were like, 1 minute you were like walking through a forest and then the next you're like jogging or something. And it was so engaging the way that you did it.
Yeah.
So are you, because what I think you should look at, and I think you probably are, is like you said, and when we originally spoke and you wanted to do this brand, you know, for your own demographic, and I still think that's an amazing idea. And I think now, because you've got that core skill set, like you know how to brand a product, you know how to source it, you know how to launch it on Amazon, and now you even know how to make your own content go viral and get views. You can just apply that to something, and that is such a massive advantage. So are you planning that then? Are you trying to work around with like new products and new brands that you yourself will be able to promote?
Yeah, definitely. I think everything I look at now, I mean, initially when we started the course, obviously, you know, and the first question us students asked is, you know, what do we focus on first? Because there's a lot of content, isn't there? There's a lot of different, you know, and I remember you kept saying product research, get into the product research, start the product research and hone your skills in product research, because that is a skill. But now I think what I've added to that as well, in terms of looking at the product, you know, can you stand out? Can you make the product stand out? Can you differentiate? You know, can you market, you brand it? Is there a demand there, etc.? But also you apply what can I do from a content perspective? What can I do from marketing, from a branding perspective, to position this and to make it stand out and to create good content? And that's what I'm looking at. I think I look at other products now in the demographic you said, you know, sort of men's stuff, and it's everything from grooming, it's through to everyday carry items, etc., etc. And I look at it and I look at what the competition are doing. And I think, well, if I was the buyer, because I am, does that appeal to me?
Yeah.
Are they talking to me through that ad and that product? And if I think, well, they're not, well, there's a gap then, isn't it? And that's what you focus on. So yes, as well as understanding what the product is and, you know, will somebody buy it, you've also got to think at the same time, what can I do? What is the content around this? And there's some products out there you think, this is screaming content.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really, I mean, again, I run it by my missus as well, and she goes, you can't say that, you can't do that. So there's some of it, you know, I've got one about Queen Elizabeth I, which I think I'm going to release shortly for my sports one. And I mean, it's so out there. I'm thinking this is either going to go viral or I'm going to get closed down. But anyway, but that's what you think, isn't it? And that's what you look at. So it's the content side of it, which I think for me is the difference between having a successful brand from what I'm doing and what I'm looking at and not. So yeah, hopefully that will come through in some of the products when I launch shortly.
Yeah. I mean, completely agree. And I think like this is something that we've really started to change within the community now, because Tom and I are seeing with our own brand, like we used to just sell on Amazon. Now we've started moving into these other channels.
Yeah.
And we've just seen, honestly, if you've got a good product, if you can then make really good content and then you have that product on Amazon, it's unbelievable how scalable this is. And that's why, like, we really encourage everybody to just learn these skills, get a product live like you've done. And there's no difference really between doing 10,000 a month and doing 100,000 a month and then 200,000 a month, especially when you combine all of these channels. And I mean, I still remember when I first, like the first $100 that I did in a day. I'd never sold anything online, and I remember checking my app, and I was in a bar at the time, and I did, and it refreshed, and it said $100 in sales, and then and it blew my mind, and I was like buying everyone drinks, and I was celebrating, and like yesterday we did $10,000 yesterday in revenue with our brand, and I'm like the $100 was at that time was like equally, if not more, exciting. And now I've just seen over the years like how scalable it is, and that's why I'm so excited with what you're doing, is because I'm like, you're just in the perfect position now to get something that's so scalable. And then the other thing is like, I can just see how much you enjoy it, because like, does it feel like work to you, or is it just kind of like,
no,
it doesn't seem like it
no,
does.
No, it doesn't. No, there's obviously a lot of graft in it, you know, and there's the hard yard. I think the hard yard is the product research side. It can be very frustrating talking to suppliers and manufacturers, getting, you know, the right products and getting your sampling done. But it's all part and parcel of it. But it's still not, to me, it's still not work, you know, because I can see what the goal is. The goal is I'm creating a product, my product, and they're helping me, and the buzz around that is incredible. And I just wish I'd done it years ago, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But no, it doesn't seem like work at all. But I do apply a principle though, or you know, a routine. I sit at my desk. You know, I do 9 to 5 as much as I can. You know, because there is a lot going on. I want to scale it. You know, I've got my own targets, etc. And I think it's one of those things, you get as much out of it as you put into it. But I remember you said when I was looking just before we went firm on this product, I sent it to you guys, and you guys came back and said, yeah, I think, yeah, just go with it, kick it off, get a product going. Is you said to me, well, what you've got to think about is it's just, sometimes there's just as much effort goes into something doing 100 grand a month as it is doing £1,000 a month. And I remember that, and I thought, well, yeah, actually you're right. And I think from what I've seen, that is correct. You know, it's if you do all the spade work up front, and then later on, it's you know, that principle applies.
Yeah, and honestly, this is something that we learned the hard way, where I just realized after we launched a few products, I was like, it's just the same process, but the upside for some products is 100 times what another product might be, and it's, relatively speaking, it's the same amount of work. You've got other things to consider, like the amount of budget that you need, you know, stuff like that, the level of competition.
100%.
But this is obviously why we're so, you know, we're so kind of insistent on people just taking action and getting something live, because that's half of it in the beginning. Like, if I talk about it all the time in the community. Like, my first product was a little leather wallet, and like, didn't really do, I think I was doing €5,000 a month in sales. I was selling it in Spain. Didn't really, I was making probably 5% profit margin on it. Wasn't, but like, because I just launched that, I didn't overthink it. I was just like, oh, I'm going to sell wallets, and I just did it. And then I learned that process. And then as you go on, because I think a lot of people have this expectation, because of the way that online business is sold by a lot of gurus, of like, you're going to get rich, you're going to be driving a Lambo, you're going to be in, you know, this. And it's all, but realistically, what business can you start and get rich in like 6 months or even 12 months, right? Every single business takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think what's good about it is, I mean, I've come obviously from a business background. I run businesses, manage my own businesses, own my own businesses. So you do pick up these little skill sets here and there. But I think what you teach on the course is, somebody comes from a non-business background whatsoever, if they embrace it and they apply themselves, it's, the whole process is like a mini business management course, because it covers everything from logistics, purchasing, finance. Big thing. You got to look, you got to know your numbers. You got to understand your numbers. Design, marketing, and there aren't many things which you can apply that to in a business with. And it's like anything, there is a risk in anything, isn't there? You know, and you know, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but you know, you can minimize the risk by, like with you guys, you know, understanding the course, doing the work, understanding it, applying the principles. You've got a gated approach, which helps us at every stage, you know, to look at it, to analyze, to approve in some cases, and to gently say, no, don't do that. You know, and that's great. And you know, if you apply that and you follow it, it is reasonably risk-free. It's just depending how big your appetite is, I suppose.
And like, a lot of people see any business venture as like a risk, right? It's like, oh, it's a risk with your money. It's a risk with, like, you know, with your time, all of this stuff. But like, ultimately, you're just paying to gain experience and skills, I think, that can make you money, you know, because of course nothing is absolutely risk free. But if you're not stupid with it and you don't over leverage, you know, you might lose a little bit of cash, like a couple of grand, maybe, like whatever it is. Obviously, that's not a tiny amount of money, but what you're going to gain in those skills is skills that can lead you in the long term to making really, really good money. And I think a lot of people don't see it that way. They don't see it as like as essentially a business sort of course that you're doing, because you can go to university for 3 years and you can spend stupid money nowadays on university. And I'm not saying don't go to university. I'm
No.
not saying all of that, right? But I actually thought about this the other day. I was like, well, I went to university for 3 years. I studied marketing, right? And it cost me 30,000 quid in total. I've still got the student debt, and I didn't actually learn anything. I didn't get any hands-on skills. And not just joining us as a community, but doing e-commerce, like you're actually learning incredibly valuable skills, because e-commerce is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like even if you step back away from Amazon, e-commerce is booming. So you're just learning these incredibly valuable skills. And even if you do lose a little bit of money, you've not really lost anything, because you've learned a load of stuff. And I know that that's a bit of a cliche, but I think with you can just see how many of these skills, the content creation, the marketing, all of that stuff. So even if you hadn't made money on this first product, I feel like you still would have gained a ton of good knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I didn't think this was my first product was going to be a get-rich product. I didn't think I would even necessarily be able to scale off the back of that. But what it's done, even with my cash flow of this one, it's allowing me to take it, and what I thought I was going to use as a budget into other products, I can actually take the proceeds of this and put it into it as well. So that's a bonus. That's great. I think what I like about it is if you've got to be resourceful, and you've got to have a little bit of grit as well. And I think, and what I like is, I don't like the fact that anybody can do it, because if everybody can do it, then you've got more competition, etc., etc. I think I could look at people and think, yeah, I know him or I know her, and I think she would be good at this or he would be good at it, because they've got the personality traits as well as the skill sets. Because you can learn the skills, but it's the personality traits. It's, do you get defeated quickly? Do you see every obstacle as a barrier? Because it is frustrating. I mean, I get some of the software tools that you guys suggest, and I haven't seen this stuff before, and I'm reasonably tech savvy, but I'm not, just fresh out of university where this stuff is easy to you. And I get frustrated by it, and I think, oh God, but every single hour I spend on it, I think, well, that's another hour in the experience bank, and I can see why a lot of people get frustrated. I can see why a lot of people give up, and that's good.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's good for me. And I can see why a lot of the products we're looking at, it's not easy to get them to market, depending what they are. There's a lot of compliance, there's a lot of regulation, which is correct, particularly, if you're consuming a product or whatever, and I just think that's fantastic, because most of the get rich quick merchants are going to go, oh, it's too hard, I'm going to go on to something else. And so as long as that continues, I'm happy, because I've made a decision now. This is what I'm going to do. I've got a target, got an aim, got a goal, and I'm not going to stop until I hit that. And I think that's pretty similar to most of the people, 95% of the people in our community within the group, who have the same attitude and have the same sort of vision, which is great. And then to be a part of that group and to feed off those people and their enthusiasm as well is it's infectious. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, it's infectious for me as well, because genuinely, like, I never thought that the community would like grow to this level. And like when we've met in person and stuff and we've done the events, but I get up every morning and the first thing I do is check the Discord, and I'm like, right, who's launching products, what they talking about, do I need to like reply to anyone and help anyone? But the community now has got to this point where it's like almost like you guys are all sort of like working and helping each other, and it's crazy. Like we've got a ton of people like looking at compliance stuff and supplement stuff at the minute and stuff like that, and there's so much there that people need to do. And I'm seeing someone ask a question, and before I've even got a chance to answer, there's like 3 different people that are like, oh, I did this and I did this, and it's actually become now a proper community where it's so helpful in there with helping each other out. I mean, just from my objective.
Absolutely. I don't think that. Well, I haven't paid. I mean, I've posted quite a few times. Oh, come on, what have I done? And I think I've broken it. And I think and I've been an idiot because I've gone and done that. And I don't think there's been any situation or any problem I've had that somebody in the community hasn't already experienced themselves.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm going to contradict myself now about tenacity and perseverance. I say that now because I'm in the community. I think if I'd have tried to do this by myself with no formal structure, no formal course, no community to then guide me, I'm not so sure I would have persevered, because it is hard. And I think what we're experiencing, particularly with you guys who've been at it a lot longer, is we're basically benefiting from all the hard work, mistakes, U-turns, and semi-disasters maybe you've had along the way, and that's to our benefit, because you're able to pile that back in and say, look guys, just don't do this, do it like this. So yeah, I will contradict myself. Would I still be here now if I hadn't joined the course or any course? Maybe not, I don't know, but it has been and this is not a plug for you guys, I just think it's just common sense that, as I say, unless you are experienced in this industry, this from this e-commerce background, and most people, I think, particularly on the group, are not, are they?
No, yeah.
It's really hard because it is new, even just the buzzwords, and I used to sit there listening to you guys, in the first few sessions, and that even put my hand up, what are you talking about? What is that? Now it's all sort of just generic stuff, and I know it, but you didn't want to sort of make a fool of yourself in case people pointed and go, oh, idiot, but so yeah. And I look back now and think, well, how far have I come? And it's like light years away. It's just in the short space of time. It's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Imagine the way that I always see it, right? And a lot of people come in sometimes and they get a bit overwhelmed. And I've said it a few times in the group. I'm like, if you feel overwhelmed, that's good, because it means you're learning a lot of stuff. Because let me tell you, that feeling doesn't go away. Because I'm like nearly 6 years into this now, and almost every day I still feel overwhelmed. But I know that's because every day and every week I'm pushing myself a little bit more. I'm doing a little bit more that's outside of my comfort zone. And that's where that feeling comes from, because you're doing stuff that you've never done before.
Yeah.
But again, it's a bit of a cliche, but that's just a sign of growth, and that you're doing stuff that's challenging. Because if you think about this now, if you could go back even 6 months and sit next to yourself and go, all right, Si, and be like, don't do that, do this, or do that. And that's in the space of a few months, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. There would be a lot of stuff I would still do the same. There'd be some stuff I probably wouldn't. Yeah, but generally, I think the hard yards, you can't short circuit that. Put in the time. There is no short circuit to that. There's no quick fix. You can't sort of just cut through that, because there is a certain element of building blocks you've got to go through. But I think, again, it's something, I keep referencing you, but something that you said. So I actually do listen to you, obviously. So it's
nice.
You said, I think a few times you said, just do, when you feel overwhelmed, do the stuff that gets you one step closer to what you are trying to do each day.
Yeah.
You can get distracted by the really exciting stuff, and I get excited and distracted by doing stuff which is maybe a little bit more creative, but there are still the building blocks, and there is still the mechanics, and there is still the cogs that I've got to turn. And that isn't the sexy stuff to me, but that's the essential stuff. And you've got to do that, and you've got to do it proficiently to be successful. So some stuff, I look at it and think, well, okay, I'm going to put that to one side, but today I need to get to that point, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to sit in front of this. I'm going to go look at the course content, look at some YouTube videos, go and look at some stuff you're doing. I'm going to sit, I'm going to take it in, I'm going to take some notes, and hopefully I'll be a step closer tomorrow morning when I wake up than I was today. So yeah.
And I think that's, it's why we've really tried to set the expectations with people from day one, of you're building a real business. It's got to be there's got to be ups and downs. Like, there's honestly like Tom and I, when we first started, we launched a product in the UK, a wallet. It got to £30,000 a month in sales, 25% profit margin, absolutely flying. We were overjoyed, of course. Then we got an email off Amazon: your product's been removed because of some stupid complaint. And we were offline for 3 months. That product was offline for 3 months. Ooh. Tom was on the phone every single day to Amazon, right? And at that point, like, I remember I'd talked Tom into doing this business with me. I was like, let's do it together.
Your fault.
And I was thinking, oh, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna hate me. And honestly, like we've had other stuff like that. But like, if you speak to anybody that owns a business, they'll be able to tell you 100 horror stories of things that have gone wrong. And I think it's such a huge part of the learning process of like, it ain't going to be smooth sailing. Stuff's going to go well. It's going to go badly. And if you can adapt your mindset to seeing that as every time you overcome one of those obstacles, there's 100 other people that gave up, like you said, and you've continued. And those are the people that are still standing at the end of the day and that grow these businesses. And it doesn't matter what they do, that those are the people that succeed.
I think you're right. I think if you apply what you've learned, you have the perseverance, you take the knocks and turn them into learning experiences as opposed to battle scars, you will get there.
Yeah.
I think how quickly you get there is then maybe dependent on a little bit. I mean, you know, there's some very talented people in the group in there, and you just look at them and you think, oh, God, that idea is brilliant. And they will fly, and they will fly. But we will all get there eventually in our own way if by applying what we're learning and not giving up, basically. And like you say, treat it as a business, because it is a business. Yeah, I'm sat at home now. I'm sat at my desk. It's great, you know. Jump out of bed, quick shower, bump up my desk. But it's a business, and you have to treat it like a business. It's still got accounts. You still got to do your returns. You still got all that sort of stuff that you get with every other business. You know, if you get a return, you get a customer complaint, whatever it is, then yes, it's still something you have to deal with. You take it a bit more personally because it's your product. But whether you're doing it for somebody else because you're going to work 9 to 5, or you're doing it for yourself, the mechanics, there's nothing in this business that I don't think anybody hasn't experienced in their own line of work, whether they're working for somebody else or whatever, because all the principles apply. There's just a lot of it, and you are then solely responsible, or you and your partner are solely responsible for all those bits initially, you know, and hopefully if you grow, you can farm some of it out. But for now, you've got to do it all, which is what I love, which is the challenge as well, you know.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Awesome. Si, if you had any advice for somebody looking to get into not just Amazon FBA, but e-commerce in general, what advice would you give to them?
I knew you was going to ask me that, and I thought, oh, I've come up with a really clever answer, but I haven't really got one other than there is always an element, isn't there, of investment. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the bottom line is you can't do any meaningful, worthwhile business without investing something. And you know, it's one of these adverts in it, or, you know, capital at risk, and your capital is at risk like any business. I think depending on what you've got available, you can do this, and you can start this with a reasonably small amount of cash. But at the same time, you know, don't just think of the cash as, oh yeah, I'm going to buy, you know, I've even got £1,000, I'm going to buy £1,000 worth of stock. You can't do it like that, because there's a lot of other things you've got to spend on to make your product sell. Is don't underestimate what it's going to take to actually get that product to market. Be prepared to lose that money, but be prepared to get another £1,000 if that's what you've got, beg, borrow, and steal, to do it again, because you may not do it the first time, you may not do it the second time, but if you keep getting up and you're learning and you're moving forward, and every day you're improving your skills and you are learning from your mistakes and the setbacks, I think you will get there. And to be honest, I can't think of any other business or business opportunity that gives you that opportunity to do in a reasonably short space of time to achieve what you can achieve with this business. And that's what drives me every day, and that's why I get out of bed and do what I'm doing, because I love it.
Amazing. And just to add to that as well, is like it compounds like crazy, because you in 12 months is going to be a whole nother level of Si than what you are right now. And every few months you learn more and you learn more and you learn more, because like there's people that have been in, you know, there's people in this game doing 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year, every year it just compounds.
Yeah.
And every year you're equipping yourself with these tools that allow you to get to that scale. And because it's so scalable, like we talked about earlier, is like once you've got that skill set, it just all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It can be really slow and feels like nothing's happening. And then you're like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And it compounds and it compounds. And I think that for me, watching people like you come into the community, that's genuinely what's so exciting for me. Because I'm like, I know you're still going to be doing this in 5 years' time, and you'll probably have a massive business, a brand that you love, that you enjoy doing, that you're making good money. Yeah, and that's amazing. That's amazing to see.
The only thing I will say on that is my luxury, if you like, will be when I get to that level, hopefully, is to be able to get somebody who can scroll through and refresh my screen on Seller Central, because I've got a repetitive strain injury. I remember you said you'll start checking when I started launching. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go to the physio because I can't. So I'm gonna employ someone to do that for me. That'll be my little luxury to myself.
That doesn't go away, because every time you launch a new product, like we've recently launched a new product, and I'm checking it every day. How many sales have we done? How many sales? Because it's still as exciting with the 15th product as it is with the.
I can. It's addictive. It does become addictive. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, awesome, Si. Thank you very much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you on again in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, once you've launched a bunch more stuff and you've seen a lot of success. But yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks a lot, mate, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.